You know what it is. This video is about HoneyKomb Brazy's charge being turned over to the feds. HoneyKomb Brazy's gun charges have been turned over to the feds, and I feel he should have been schooled by the record labels that got him and signed him and put up $5 million, allegedly, is what they said Baby put up. So sit back, watch this video to the end, because I'm going to break it down. I'm going to show you how I vetted other people when I was selling drugs to make sure that they were secure and they was mentally ready to handle and protect my drugs, which is my money, which is the same thing as the record label's money. All right? All right, Unique Mecca audio, man. I'm here, We're talking about HoneyKomb Brazy. He's sitting in jail, so this is a jail story, but I'm going to make it a jail in the hood story, and I'm going to educate you on what's going on and how this thing, I feel, should have been played out. Now, HoneyKomb Brazy was in an SUV. If y'all don't know, let me run it down real quick to give you all a short synopsis on HoneyKomb Brazy for the people that's just coming in. HoneyKomb Brazy is a young Alabama rapper doing his thing. He was from the street. He got into something. Somebody got killed, retaliation. Next thing you know, they wound up, did a drive-by on his grandparents' house, and they shot up in a joint, and his grandparents wound up burning to death from a oxygen tank exploding, and the grandfather got shot a number of times, right? Then they locked him up for a gun charge, and he just came home after 30 months in the state for a gun charge. Now, he comes home and he felt like finesse 2 times, being that he held him down when he was in jail, that while he was in jail, HoneyKomb himself, finesse didn't hold him down. So that became an issue with HoneyKomb Brazy. So he went to social media and started, trolling finesse 2 times and letting them know I kept it 100 with you. You didn't keep it 100 with me. So therefore, we got an issue. Now, he's doing that, and he was signed to Mob Ties. So while he signed to Mob Ties is the one, Junior, J. Prince Jr. is the one that signed Finesse 2 times. But it was Brazy that connected Finesse 2 times with Mob Ties. And when Finesse 2 times was in prison, when HoneyKomb Brazy was in prison, Finesse 2 times told him not to sign with with Moneybagg Yo because he had an issue with him for whatever reason. Out of loyalty that HoneyKomb Brazy had for the Finesse 2 times, he did not sign with Moneybagg Yo. So Finesse 2 times had an issue after Young Dolph got bodied, and went to HoneyKomb and said, you got to get me out of here, connect me with the old man so I can be secure, because they're going to Young Dolph me. That mean body him too. So he did that, got him on, and then once he got on Finesse 2 times, never mentioned that Brazy's the one that connected him with him for him to get the deal. So that's what Brazy's issue is with Finesse 2 times, you don't know. When Finesse 2 times came out, he started going at, when Brazy came out, he started going at Finesse 2 times. His brother No Love went to Instagram and started disrespecting him, was talking bad about HoneyKomb Brazy's grandparents that passed, rest in peace, and that started the issue. Finesse 2 times brother even pulled up on HoneyKomb Brazy's mother to show that it wasn't no beef, and we all know that that's a violation. You bringing the mother in and you pulling up on the mother, because the same way you pulled up saying it's no beef is the same way you could have to the face. You know what I mean? So that was a violation. But I don't hold these young men, too responsible, because we, the elders, was taken away back in the 80s and 90s, and our babies was left to fend for themselves and learn the rules and codes and morals and principles of the street to themselves, okay? So now, Baby comes down to Alabama to check out excuse me. Yeah, Baby comes down to Alabama to check out Brazy, and did some music with him. They put it out. They did their thing. Then Baby went to Jay Prince to try and get Jay Prince to release Brazy from the contract, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, y'all put in the comments, because you know how you rat bastards and trolls and flip-flop where the public clowns are. So put it in the comments. Let's keep this in the comments and be respectable. Now, when that happened, I think Jay Prince had HoneyKomb Brazy signed to like a lifetime career. I mean, it's so the contract was so crazy, because Brazy even gave up his YouTube channel that he himself said he was making 30 to 50 grand a month from dropping videos, and now Jay Prince get all of that. So HoneyKomb comes out, he puts out a video, he got 1.5 million views in 24 hours. So that's over $25,000 from one day on the YouTube, but Brazy got no part of that. Jay Prince got that. So now, that was the issue. But HoneyKomb Brazy respects Jay Prince. I respect Jay Prince, got nothing against him. But, because Jay Prince from back in the day, allegedly was doing the same things I was doing down there in Texas. But now what happened is, the issue that I see is Jay Prince signed HoneyKomb Brazy, and no one gave HoneyKomb Brazy any guidance on how to move now that you're in this new tax bracket of 6 figures or better. Now, so HoneyKomb Brazy's out there, he's running around, he's still, allegedly toting pistols and, carrying on, and no one schooled him. Then Baby came in and said that he wanted him because Brazy was upset and didn't want to be on Mob Ties no more, because they had finessed 2 times that he felt did the double cross, okay? So now, Baby comes down and he allegedly put up $5 million to sign Brazy, right? Now, after he does that, he leaves and he goes back. I was going to break down the issue of the case, but I don't think it goes right here, so let me keep it riding the way I want to ride, So right there, I really felt that, Baby should have got Brazy out of his environment, because he invested $5 million in him. But instead, he leaves and leave him back down there in Alabama to his own demise. Now, I'm going to ride a little bit. I remember when, because y'all young, so y'all don't remember this, but y'all Google this. I'm sure, this is YouTube, so they might not have it because YouTube wasn't out then. When we had Slick Rick out here, Slick Rick, I was down in Virginia hustling. Slick Rick was down there also, and Slick Rick wound up, allegedly buying a shotgun from down there and some guns from Virginia, and one of the guns was stolen from a police officer out the police car, because dudes was wild like that back then. Can you imagine somebody going to a police car, they had a big shotgun in the window, strapped down with the Allen wrench, and they unscrew the shotgun, take the shotgun, and somebody sold the Slick Rick. He comes to New York, he winds up getting caught with the shotgun, and he winds up going down for the shotgun. While he was locked up, Russell Simmons came in as the record label, the same as Baby came in as the record label. Pay attention, I give y'all jewels. That's why I say follow me on Instagram. It's on the screen, Unique Mecca Audio, and the Cash App is there. Make sure you hit the logo and it says it was created in 2020. So now, because these are jewels, this is priceless, and I'm even giving y'all history that y'all don't even know about, but I'm, pulling the Band-Aid off of certain things. Russell Simmons went and signed Slick Rick. When he signed Slick Rick, he took Slick Rick and he got him released from prison from his charges and had him in a hotel, and Slick Rick made like 9 albums in the time that he was out, on house arrest with Russell Simmons. Russell Simmons still even owns that music that he haven't done anything with yet. And, not to say anything negative, but, I'm quite sure, God forbid, the demise of Slick Rick, Russell Simmons got a whole catalog that he owns the masters to that he never released from Slick Rick, that he made when he was at the prime of his career, and he bailed him out of jail the same way Suge Knight bailed Tupac out of jail, put him in the studio, but Suge Knight was in the street, so he had Tupac running wild in the street. Russell Simmons wasn't, so he had Slick Rick chilling in a hotel that they put a studio in the hotel, and Slick Rick just made mad records. So that's what happened with that. So my point being is that Baby once he went down there and put up the alleged 5 mil to Jay Prince to obtain HoneyKomb Brazy, that he should have went in and schooled this young man. He should have schooled him. You know what I mean? Now, I'm going to say this, and because, I'm riding. This is the way we ride. So if you rat bastards and flip-flop wearing in public trolls don't like the ride, I'm going to give you 3 seconds right now to tap out. And you already know the routine. Take that with you on the way out. You know what I mean? So now, when I was hustling in Virginia, D.C., North Carolina, Atlanta, South Carolina, Philly, Delaware, wherever I was hustling up I-95 going toward the South, if I hired someone to work for me, if I planned on hiring someone to work for me, I went down there the same way Baby went down there to check out HoneyKomb Brazy. But when I went down there, this is what I did, right? And we're going to compare this to the record label, so pay attention. This is what I did. When I went down there and I invested, and I was planning on investing my drugs into that state, right? I vetted the people. Vetted means you look them over, you investigate what they're doing, and do background checks and everything, right? So I had to go down there and make sure they wasn't no, rat bastards, you know what I mean? And once I went down there and I did that, and I was investing in my workers in a town, right? I looked around at who they was hanging with, After I looked around at who they hanging with, I did my assessment. I watched it. I said, okay, hanging with this dude, that dude don't look right, right? Then I looked at where they was hustling at, right? And where they was keeping their drugs stashed at. Like, where you going to keep my 10 keys? Where you going to keep my 20 keys? I sent it down there. So we're going to keep it over here. You know what I mean? So now, after they tell me that, right? Next thing I did was I vetted their team. I said, who's your street team? Who's going to be hustling in the projects? Who's going to be cutting the drugs, delivering the drugs, bagging the drugs, carrying the pistol, protecting the drugs on the block with the pistols? These are the things that you do when you vet, when you hustling. So this is not to promote hustling. This is just to show you how I feel the record label should have took a hands-on with the people, with the artists that they're getting. And that's why I make myself available, and I put my number on the screen that I do answer when I'm available, 917-680-9091. That these record labels, I'm inviting you to call me to help you school these young rappers to let them know how to move in society once you put up an alleged $5 million like Baby did with Brazy. But they don't want to spend no money because they don't even want to pay the rappers. No disrespect to, Baby, Jay Prince, or anybody. I'm just talking about all record labels in general. They just give them the bag, fall back, let them do what they do, and, not saying Jay Prince and Baby, but a lot of these European record labels, they fall back and they wait for the demise because 9 times out of 10, the first contract they sign, the record labels own the masters. You know what I mean? Which is forever. So now, when I'm down there and I'm looking it over, making sure that the drugs are stashed right, I also vet the team, like I said. I look at the roles they play. That's where the record labels should have looked into Brazy's team. Who's your security? Who's your gunman? Who's your driver? You understand? How are you driving? What are you driving? You understand what I'm saying? These are the things that should have been done because now he has allegedly $5 million invested in this man. So you don't just go home and leave the bag down there, to run around like a chicken with the head cut off. Not calling Brazy a chicken with the head cut off because I got to watch everything I say for these rat bastards and flip-flop wearing in public trolls, man. Just take that and get up off my channel. Get off my channel, you rat bastards. You know what I mean? Stop it. We don't do that over here. Put your comments in, be respectable, and I will answer the comments. I'll even come up here. I'll probably do a live soon. I don't do lives because, I don't have the patience for the stupid comments that the trolls be putting in. Don't upset me, but I just don't have the patience and the tolerance. I don't want to be deviated from the main point by focusing on these trolls' stupid comments. Now, so you also look into what kind of cars they're driving, I look into What kind of car are you driving? Do you have tints on the car? Do you have a stash in the car for the guns? Do you have a stash in the car for the drugs? You know what I mean? Are you lead foot? Do you speed up and down the road? You know what I mean? Now, this is the key thing. You know what I mean? We also look at the jewelry they're wearing and when they're wearing it. We all love to wear our jewelry back in those days. So we get the big chains and all that. But when you go in certain places that you know Europeans is in and it's not hood connected, you put your jacket on and you tuck your chain on so you look like this. You know what I mean? When you're around things that's hood orientated, then you open it up and you show that you're the king of the hood. So these are the things that we look at. You know what I mean? So, some people are just selfish. They fall back and they put their money up and they fall back and they waiting for the artist's demise so that they could own the masters. Not saying Baby and Jay Prince, let's get that right. 'Cause like I said, I know we got trolls and rat bastards that's watching everything coming out my mouth. And 9 times out of 10, they wearing flip-flops in public. And I gotta give them again. Get off my channel with that crap, man. Let the people that want to learn. Now, so that's where we at. So we looking at what kind of cars they drive. So you let them know, don't drive your Mercedes when you got the drugs in it. Don't drive your Mercedes through the hood. You understand what I'm saying? Don't speed. Use your blinkers. Make sure your tail light, brake lights, and everything is working. These are the things that I talk to them about when I go down out of town to any one of these states. And when when I was in D.C., because let's ride again. When I was in D.C., I had these 2 little young guys working for me, right? These young kids, and that's not a disrespect, because you had a rat bastard say, oh, you called such and such a kid. Man, that's just a terminology, my nigga. That's not a disrespect. That's a term of endearment where we come from. Like I said, Virginia say stick man, DC say, Joe, Now, imagine dude say, man, my name ain't Joe. Come on, dog. My name ain't Kid. I ain't no kid. These are insecure people that do that. So now we have that going on. So we look at, the cars they're driving, and we make sure we tell them when to drive the cars, and the cars they're planning on buying. We tell them what type of cars to buy, how to buy it to not get the feds on them, because the feds or the IRS get on them for them buying the car in cash, because that's what we was doing back then. So we had to teach them how to do it with money orders, how to find the right dealer that know how to work the money orders in the system so don't show up, because back then anything over 10 grand had to be reported to the IRS, and that bring the feds on you. You holding my drugs, you go down, I go down. So we looked out for each other, maybe because it was illegal. But now these record label guys, they just throw the bag out and leave these dudes to their own demise. But back then, if we just threw the drugs out, left them to their own demise, we lose everything because we don't know who got the drugs, who got the money, who's owed on the block, or none of that. But the record labels, they know what's going on because everything is documented and they know where every single dollar went. But maybe that's why they just leave them to their demise. But we couldn't do that with our drugs. We also looked at what type of women they roll with. If they rolling with nothing but hood rats, now you have to teach them. Because me, myself, y'all might not like this, you know what I mean? But like I said, when my child, my 7-year-old son, and he's like 38 now, and he'll tell you this, so you see how official it was back then. When my 7-year-old son that lived with his mother and his stepfather went to hang out with me, he wasn't allowed to sit behind me at 7 years old because you can't trust no one when you in the street. That's why I say don't get involved in the street. I couldn't even trust my 7-year-old son to sit behind me. My 7-year-old son, I'm thinking he might put a rope behind my neck or take a razor blade and stepdaddy give me an Come on, dog. Who wants to live like that? That's why I say don't get involved in the street, period. So now, we got to look at the women. So if you let them know, you never take a woman to the stash house. You never take a woman to your main house. And if you take a woman to the hotel, because this is the way I had to roll. I love to get my sucked, from the head to the nuts. I had a record about that. I might put the record back out. But that was my thing. So when I go to a hotel and I'm getting my joint, you understand what I'm saying? I'm doing me. I got 2 rooms. Normally it's in a high-powered hotel, so they got adjacent rooms where you could walk from one door. We got two doors, one on this room, one on that door, and you could lock the door in either room to keep the person out from the next room. I got two rooms. So after I'm done, knocking a back out, you know what I mean, or getting choked out, I just go in the next room and lock the door and go to sleep. I couldn't trust a female that just pleasured me and took me to the moon to lay down next to her to close my eyes. I didn't do no cuddling. I didn't do none of that. That's why I'm so hard on these dudes that's in the street, in the rap game, running the streets, screwing groupies, talking about, but I love a dog. Come on, man, where we do that at? You bone them, get sucked off, and keep it moving. That's it. Other than that, you're going to find yourself in a Diddy situation. Period. You don't wife them when you become famous and you meet them. Because then they're going to come for the Diddy stimulus. Or we could call it a hood stimulus. You know what I mean? Because the hood stimulus, Diddy stimulus is where they go to court. You know what I mean? And say that I was with him for 15 years and he kept me drugged and this and that. And at no time I couldn't get away and I won $100 million. You know what I mean? That's the Diddy stimulus. Then you got the hood stimulus. The hood stimulus work like this. You get with a female, right? And I'm going to put it out there. I know I got a lot of Brooklyn people. I'm going to keep it 100. But, we didn't trust Brooklyn girls as far as we could see them. You know what I mean? Because the Brooklyn girls was hooked up. The Brooklyn dudes official. They bust their gun and they, and we already know we're going to keep it 100. They was considered as grimy back then. So now, we didn't talk to a Brooklyn girl because they 9 times out of 10 had a grimy Brooklyn dude behind them that was willing to come get the bag from you because they got no problem taking, because that's what they do. They had that old saying back in the day, Manhattan take it, Manhattan make it, and Brooklyn take it. You know what I mean? And they take it by interjecting one of their females to suck us off, you know what I mean? Sex is real good, and then catch us with our pants down while they man roll up in there and get you. And that's the hood stimulus. The hood stimulus is where you wound up getting got by a hood chick. Put it in the comments. Let me know what you think about the Diddy stimulus and the hood stimulus. All right, let's keep it moving. All right. So now, that's where we at. So now we got to vet the women we deal with. You know what I mean? We can't even, let them know where we live. I used to teach, my workers that if you take a woman to your house, you blindfold her. You get a house with a garage. So when you pull up to the house, you go in the garage, and then you take the blindfold off. You don't get a house without a garage, because if you take the blindfold off in the driveway, they'll see the neighborhood, and they might recognize the neighborhood because they got a girlfriend live there, cousin live there, auntie live there, or another nigga they boning living there. So you put the blindfolds on them and drive them in the garage, close the door, and then you take the blindfolds off after you walk them in your living room or your kitchen, out the garage, to show them this is where you're going to bone me at. Where we at? Smack. Shut up. Yeah, we don't smack them. I'm just being funny. But that's where you tell them, shut up, mind your business. You know what I mean? You want to go? You know what I mean? Don't worry about where you at. That's so she can't tell the next man where you at when she get mad at you, or she got a dude that's grimy that says, I know he taking you to his crib. Where's the crib? I'm going to give you $20,000 if you just take me where the crib is at. Just tell me where the crib is at. He'll never know you sent me. These are all hood stimulus. You know what I mean? Because this is how we get money in the hood. Just like the Diddy stimulus, the new girls of the day, they run to the court and say they was SA'd and AR'd and all of this. So you got the Diddy stimulus and the rape stimulus. See why I introduce you all types of things? Follow me on Instagram. And like I said, my Cash App is on the screen. But make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. That's all I'm going to ask you. Definitely hit the like button and hit the emoji and share these videos, because these kids and elders that don't know no better need to learn and know what it is, So these are the same things that I feel, and it's no disrespect to Baby, that Baby should have done when he went to Alabama. Jay Prince never even went to Alabama, but he had Brazy in Houston. So once he had him in Houston, he should have taught him these things. You know what I mean? And you make sure, that you teach your money getter how to move. You know what I mean? You don't take anyone to your stash house. You know what I mean? Not where you lay your head. Not even your artist. Take them to one of the side mansions that you throw, the alleged Diddy parties in. But you don't take nobody to your house. I had a house. Let me ride. Because, I like to ride. I had a little mini mansion townhouse up in Yonkers. Big shout out to Yonkers. That was a good hideaway spot for me. Big shout out. Big shout out. Relax, man. Relax. I had a little penthouse joint up there, had the upstairs, downstairs, and I had the whole roof of the building, for my patio where I used to go up there and work out in the morning, throw cookouts where it's just me and my brother up there and, the 1 and 2 workers that I did trust, right? And I never took anyone to this house and I was paying $5,000 a month. And that was just so I had somewhere to go lay my head and knew I was safe. That I didn't have to worry about nobody knocking on the door that they in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? Nobody saying I seen the car outside. You understand? This is how serious it is. That's why I say don't get involved in the street. And y'all that's in the rap business, make sure, and I'm telling y'all this, when y'all sign these record labels, right? This to the rappers. When y'all sign these record labels, you ask them, can you give me Unique Mecca audio to school me on how to move now that I'm in a Unique Mecca audio 6-figure bracket? And that's why my number is always on the screen. You ask your label to put you with someone like Unique Mecca Audio that could school me on how to survive now that all the wolves, lions, bears, and tigers is going to be at my neck. It's their responsibility. The same way they're supposed to give you health insurance, you know what I mean? The same way they're supposed to give you, dental insurance. They're supposed to give you life-saving insurance. How to save your life. And what better way than someone that been in the trenches? Is this making any sense to y'all? So now, let's go back to Brazy. All this is Brazy, but I know y'all might not really understand where I'm at. Brazy got, stopped. There was 3 guns in the car. None of the men in the car was allowed to have guns. Who gave Brazy these security guards? I hope it wasn't the record label. Put in the comments. Who gave Brazy these security guards? And also, why didn't Baby vet these security guards when he went down to Alabama? Baby, why didn't he vet them when he went down to Alabama, being that he was intending to put up allegedly $5 million? And it's not a shot at Baby. I'm just keeping it 100 because somebody has to bring light to this, right? So now, they said they pulled over Brazy's car, the SUV, because they stayed in the fast lane too long, which is bull crap. You know what I mean? But that's why I even taught my son when I first came home, stay out that fast lane. You use the fast lane to speed and you go in the middle lane to go as fast as you want. Because that's the way I teach my workers when we was carrying the pack up and down 95. Stay out the fast lane and stay the speed limit in the middle lane. But if you ain't got no drugs, you just ride and you just stay out that fast lane unless you're passing, then you go back to the middle lane because the police got the radars pointed towards that middle lane because that's the car that's going to be passing you all day anyway. So now, that's where we at. So after the 3 of them got caught in the car, they found 3 pistols, right? He had to be targeted. Brazy had to be targeted. Because if you're in a car and you got a driver, right, and you're in the passenger seat or the back seat, and especially if you're telling them that this is your security or, this is what they call in New York a livery, like a cab, like a Uber, if you're riding in one of these joints and they find anything in it, it's not yours. It goes to the driver, and the driver 9 times out of 10 will beat that because he could always say that It may have been a passenger that got in here before, because so many people come in and out the car, and I don't always check the car, or I forgot to check the car. But when they ask him, do you know, they ask the driver, you know, allegedly, is there any drugs and guns in the car? And he said, yes, there's one in the front, two in the back, whatever he told them. You know what I mean? That's crazy. He just said, man, no, I don't know nothing about no guns in the car. If they find the guns, he could always said it was a passenger before him. That it wouldn't even have been no case. But he didn't do that, you know? That's because they didn't get proper security. They should have got licensed security that was licensed to wear bulletproof vest. They want to wear bulletproof vest. Licensed to carry the AR-15. They say that, you know, was under Brazy scene. You know, these are the things that the record label was supposed to do. You know what I mean? You know, you could even say the car was at the mechanic shop and the mechanic may have left it in it. That's your word against them. You know what I mean? And, you know, anything. Or I just took the car to the shop. You understand? I just got the car back. You know, anything. You could even just say something simple as, I was at the mall and I left the doors open. Anyone could have went in the car. You know? It's a weak joint, but it's still a joint that your lawyer could play. They could look into if they had a probable cause to stop you. And if they say, oh, we stopped him because he stayed in the fast lane too long. Or we stopped him, you know what I mean? Because then the lawyer's going to ask him, how long was he in the fast lane? Did you time him? You know what I mean? Was he speeding in the fast lane? You know what I mean? No, he wasn't speeding because they didn't give him a speeding ticket. But he was in the fast lane too long. How long is too long? Where does it say in the driver's manual how long you can stay in the passing lane? We know they say don't hang out in this passing lane, that you can, you know, use it just to pass and get back out the fast lane. But where's their time limit to say that he was there too long? You see these things? That's what a lawyer does. You see what I'm saying? But I feel that he was targeted because they had to know he was in there, because so many business people is driving in SUVs with tinted windows throughout the world, not just in Alabama, that you don't just pull over an SUV because it got tinted windows, because that could have been Bill Gates in the back. That could have been Murdoch in the back. That could have been anybody in the back. So they had to know that Brazy was in that car. They was targeting him, wanted to pull him over, and then these dudes wearing these big bulletproof vests that look real cool and threatening in the videos, you know what I mean? While they're driving the car, and it's illegal. Is the vest illegal to wear in Alabama? Y'all put it in the comments. But you already know if you get pulled over with a vest in the car, bulletproof vest, police gonna want to search that car, and it's gonna be a whole types of hoopla, because they're gonna ask you why you got the vest. But I've been on here long enough, man. Make sure you cop the book. You know what I mean? You know, A Roar in Harlem. You know, definitely cop the book, A Roar in Harlem. You know, and you know, I gotta show you. You get the book at roarinharlem.com or at Amazon. Prefer you get it at roarinharlem.com on Safari and Google, and you know. You know, this what you should have got the security guard. You know what I mean? So y'all make sure you get these shirts so you can give them to people that you run into that need it. All right, this is my merch. Look in the comments right here on my YouTube channel and cop the shirt, man. Cop the merch and get us to these, you know. The security guard should have had that over their things. You know what I mean? Over their bulletproof vest instead of it saying enforcer or whatever their vest said. But make sure you like this video, share this video, and do what you need to do, because we in this together, man. Let's save the community, man. All right.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Fresh out the can of 26, yeah. He back on the strip, getting back in the mix. Yeah. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Real. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Yeah. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that Probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, make an audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be horn uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend a ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community yours. So we can give back to the youth them. Cause they the truth them. And bless up to all the road men.